The mind of Mark Yoshimoto Nemkov.
All right, this is the U87 with no EQ on it. And this is the TLM 67 with no EQ on it. And there is a familial relationship between them. They have the same exact capsule, the same head basket geometry, the same body size. But the U87, of course, has a transformer-fed circuit, old school transformer-fed circuit. And the TLM 67 has I would say a bastardized transformerless circuit that's supposed to sound like there's a little bit of tube saturation and transformer in there. So while they do have a very similar sound, they are quite different. With no EQ on it, you can hear that the U87 kind of just has a little bit more of that upper mid-forward thing going on. There's definitely a little bit more going on, around 5K. And the TLM 67 has a flatter response across the mids, but it has that built-in saturation. Tube-like saturation, but it sounds a little harder to me than tube saturation. But overall, it's a little bit more flatter in the mid-range. Hold on. You know what I'm going to do? Hold on. So let me just turn on a little EQ here to make it, so hold on. Let me go back. All right, so this is the U87. And listen to the upper mids here. Let me go back to the 67. And now with a little EQ on it, just a little bit added at 5 and 9. Thereabouts. You're getting a little bit closer into the range. So can you EQ the 67 to sound like the 87? You can get close. But I think one of the biggest differences is that lower mid bump that you get with the U87. Now focus now on the lower mid area, right? And you can hear a little bit more going on here. It almost sounds a little bit more, I don't want to say occluded. I don't want to say muffled. I don't want to say less transient friendly. But you're getting that transformer thickness in there that I feel is authoritative in the sound that you don't get here, right? So you can totally hear that. I think that's the biggest difference between the two. Also, this extra saturated edge, I think on the upper frequencies on this is not that dissimilar from a 416 when you really think about it. So let's just let me read just a little commercial copy. All right, let's do a little real work simulation kind of thing. So let's start with the 87. All right, here we go. What is this? Okay, this is some stuff. Oh, okay, UMass Dartmouth. All right, life is busy. Life is busy. You need the flexibility of an online degree. Life is busy. You need the flexibility of an online degree, but you don't want to get lost in the crowd. Life is busy. You need the flexibility of an online degree, but you don't want to get lost in the crowd. Okay, so what did you hear there, other than me fumbling around between the ticks? So I think that the saturated edge, especially with this little bit of EQ on it, let me take the EQ off and let me do that read again. Life is busy. You need the flexibility of an online degree. You need the flexibility of an online degree, but you don't want to get lost in the crowd, right? So that definitely sounds a little bit more muffled, right? It doesn't really have that forward presence. And I had the EQ back, the U87-ish simulated EQ top end. Life is busy. Life is busy. You need the flexibility of an online degree, but you don't want to get lost in the crowd. Okay? Life is busy. You need the flexibility of an online degree, but you don't want to get lost in the crowd. Now, the thing is, if you're listening to this on a phone, right? I'm talking through the 87 right now. You're probably going to hear very little to no difference at all between these two mics, regardless of how much EQ is on there. And there's not a lot. So again, I think that there is a great similarity between them. All right, this is with EQ on. Let me turn it off. So can you substitute the TLM 67 for the U87, right? Because that's the reason I bought the TLM 67 was because I thought it would be a cheaper dead ringer, the better dead ringer for the U87, and of course they designed them to sound differently. But I think what I What I like best is the 87. Let me go back to the 87. I like this better. I think this sounds more natural. I think this just sounds better on my voice th- than this. Just fumbling with these controls today. So I don't think this sounds quite as good on my voice, even if I put the EQ back on, a little bit of that EQ. But what I like about the TLM 67, and I think the reason it has a place in my toolbox, is because I think this forward edge on it, this little bit of saturation, which I do again think is akin to what you get with a 416, I think that's going to help with promo stuff. Get 10% off with coupon code WEEK. Get 10% off with coupon code WEEK. So, even with the EQ on the 67, I think the 67 is a better promo mic, right? The 87 is just a better all-arounder. And since I do a lot of, cross between the two types of work, the 67 is going to stay in the booth because I'm going to do more promo stuff, more aggressive stuff with it. And I think that this definitely will help. This saturated edge, which overall does not sound as pretty as the U87 does. The saturated edge does have its purpose. So is this a keeper? Yeah, definitely. Is this a keeper? Yeah, definitely. So, different tools for different jobs. And sometimes you just have to go through the painful process, the growing pains of realizing that sometimes the mic that you buy to replace another mic doesn't necessarily replace the other mic. So, all right. So I've been rambling. And I got to get to work. All right. So again, this is the TLM 67, and this is the U87. So yeah. All right. What do you think? All right. Until next time, this is Mark Yoshimoto Nemkov, fading to black.